Is he here? Okay. Okay. Well, I'll ask if he's here. Okay. Thank you, Erica. It's fine.
Did you want to sign it? Somebody wants to sign it.
Huh?
Somebody wants to sign it.
You need to sign in?
You want to? You want to? Want some? You can.
Thank you.
You want some? Wait a minute, Eric. You want to comment, public comment?
Are we ready, Erica?
Yeah.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Mitchell?
Here.
Okay. Vice Mayor Bravo is absent. Councilman Santina is absent. Councilman Fahet?
Here.
Councilman Vasquez?
Here.
There is a quorum present.
Thank you. I'll stand, please, if you are able, and for the invocation by Councilman Vasquez.
Heavenly Father, we gather here in your presence to ask that you provide us with the wisdom and peace needed as we conduct the business of our beloved city. Lord, nourish us with your guidance so that we may act in a thoughtful manner with an open mind and a sense of fairness for all as we deliberate a host of ideas in the name of the residents of Miami Springs. Guide us, dear God, to have the courage and determination to do right by all. And finally, Heavenly Father, we ask that you embrace our dearly departed resident and community leader, Sydney Garden. May she rest in peace. We ask all this in your name, and we say, amen.
Amen. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our city council meeting, regular council meeting for Monday, February 12th. It's nice to see so many people in the audience, and welcome to those of you that are joining us virtually. We'll get started with awards and presentations. And our first award and presentation, and I'm not sure if the homeowner is here, is the Yard of the Month Award for Daniel and Catherine Perez. Are the Perez's here? Okay, we'll have this award sent to them, but they live at 1160 Quail Avenue. So I want to encourage everyone to sometime this next month, drive by 1160 Quail Avenue and just get a glimpse of their yard. And we thank them for beautifying Miami Springs. So the next announcement is just to let everyone know that this month, we have every month we have an Artist of the Month. And this month, I'm thrilled to be the Artist of the Month with my daughter, Caroline Mitchell Keller, and my granddaughter, 3-year-old granddaughter. So on your way out, please enjoy our paintings. I do acrylic. My daughter does watercolor, and my little granddaughter does a little bit of whatever's available. And I also want to encourage the community. If you are an artist, doesn't have to be paintings, sculpture, any kind of creative artwork that you do, and you would like to exhibit it at City Hall for a month. This program has been going on for years, decades probably. It's called the Artist of the Month display at City Hall, and we welcome anyone who has something that they would like to share with the community to decorate our city hall. It's a lot of fun when people come to visit and they see new displays every month. And if you're interested, reach out to our public information officer, Shannon Jaser, and she will coordinate with you for a month. Okay, our next, we'll move to open forum. I have several people signed up here to speak at open forum, so I'll call each of you. Before we get started with that, I want to remind everyone of open forum, how it works. The purpose for open forum is it's one-way communication, literally is. You speak to us. We don't respond. These aren't agenda items. It's an opportunity for residents to speak to all of the council members, or the majority of the council members. Tonight is an exception, at one time, and let us know your thoughts, your comments, your complaints, whatever. We're all ears to you. However, we don't respond. Also, open forum, we ask that you keep your comments to 2 minutes, since we have a meeting to go and we have other people signed up. So please just keep your comments to 2 minutes, but you've got our full attention. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first person on open forum, and it's Shan Boer. Yes, sir, come on up.
Hello, how are you? So, my name's Shan Boer. I'm a lifetime resident here in Miami Springs. I'm also a local business owner, the Pool Shockers. I'm here today because of the tennis courts. I've heard that the city is taking bids on bringing in new management for the tennis courts. I would just like to let you know who I support. I support Brad Mixon. He's the current, or not current, but over the last year, he's taught my 2 daughters. I've got 2 daughters. One's 10, one's 7. The oldest has been over there in the tennis court since she was 5. And Brad has recently come aboard, and he's really good. He's done private lessons with them. He's taught them a lot. They really like him. He's good with the kids. I really support him. He's also, I know he played sports, or I played sports here in the community, and I've coached as well. So I know how hard it is and what it takes and what passion you need to do what he does over there. And I know as far as his qualifications, he played for Florida State, ACC Division I. So as far as talent goes and knowledge of the sport, he's definitely up there. I wouldn't want anyone else teaching my daughters. I would rather have somebody that actually knows the sport and isn't just a business person trying to make money over there. So basically, I'm not sure what it's been said, but it'll be a loss if we lose him. And you don't know what you're gonna get if you get somebody else. You know, I've seen what he's done with the kids over there, and I like it. And I hope you guys can consider that when you guys receive the bids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boer.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Robert Schultz.
My name is Bob Schultz, 100 Sunset Way, Miami Springs. Madam Mayor, Councilman, I'm here tonight not to really complain, but to try to head off a problem that's happening everywhere in Dade County, probably a lot of other cities, but I know in Dade County. The proliferation of RV vehicles put into yards. And it's, if I could give this to staff, it's just and I'm not advertising a credit card on the top there. I just didn't know how to get that out.
Is there one for each, or?
No, just the
It's
one.
just-
I mean, everybody knows there's a problem. I'm just bringing it here. The only
honest
people in
about
this city that can change it are you 5 people up there by ordinance. The code enforcement can't do it by themselves. The city manager can't do it. The council has to take the initiative and do it. And it needs to be done. It needs to be done. And as far as go on OfferUp, if you're familiar with OfferUp, go on Craigslist, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones. you'll see, if you haven't been there, you'll see where in other cities, I haven't seen any in Miami Springs, but in other cities, the people will buy RVs and put them in their yards and rent them out. Literally rent them out for so much, $1,000 a month, $1,200 a month, whatever, 2 and 3 in their yards. And I don't know that that's happening in Miami Springs, and I don't know that it's not happening. But I know there's RVs in Miami Springs that could be, and you just don't want, Hialeah just passed the ordinance, which I'm sure you're all aware of. And once Hialeah starts cracking down, which Mayor Bovo, they're hiring 2 more code enforcement people just for this. Once they start cracking down and people start leaving there, they're going to go somewhere. Whether it's here, whether it's Hialeah Gardens, whether it's North Miami, wherever, Pinecrest, wherever they go. But if we have a aggressive ordinance on the books, instead of waiting till the problem and then trying to remedy the problem, get in front of the problem, because it's coming. It's there, it's here. So you guys up there are the only ones that can do it. And you really, somebody really needs to take the bull by the horns. And if you have a committee, if that's where you're going to do it, get a committee of citizens. I would gladly be on it. If one of you wanted to put me, I got no problem doing that. I'm not shy. I got no problem speaking my mind. And it's a really serious situation, public health situation with sewage and with water and with everything. So that's it. I'm done with my 2 minutes. You got my gist, and I'm out of here. I'm going to watch Grisella tonight. Okay.
Okay, we're all ears.
And having catfish. So,
Hey,
Thank you.
sounds good.
oh yeah.
Okay, next up we have Captain Nihal Pereira.
A very good evening to you, Madam Mayor, Dr. Walter, and Dr. Vasquez, City Manager and Assistant Manager, and Erica and Attorney. Welcome. I feel welcome here today because I know that you all have been working very hard and diligently. I read your report, Madam Mayor, when I was halfway around the world about what we have accomplished in 2023, which is a tremendous amount that this council was able to achieve, and the administration as well. Having said that, I don't want to eat up too much of my 2 minutes. I had mentioned on the agenda, and that's because Madam Chair of our Centennial Committee was unable to show today. So if you have any questions when that comes up at Agenda 7A, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Together with past Councilman Petrolanda and President of the Historic Society is on our committee as well. But this time I just wanted to mention something. I used to be a tennis player for 4 decades here. I don't play anymore because of vision issues, because I have glaucoma. However, when we walk around the city, people are making comments pertaining to positive things that the council has done going forward. And I wanted to talk about that first. I had to pay $1 or $2 to the courts back in the day, but I'm glad that the city supposedly and the council and the administration has agreed to give residents free tennis and pickleball going forward. Having said that, I also know that we are in a budget constraint situation for the next year or so. So I have a humble suggestion from a business perspective. This is a capitalistic society, the United States of America. There's nothing wrong with that. Whoever takes over, like Shan mentioned, Brad, I don't know him, but sounds like a very wonderful man. Whoever takes over should be advised that the taxpayers are appreciative of what they're doing, but I would highly recommend the council, and you have the power to recommend that they maintain it and don't have our city workers work there or paint or anything, because my feeling is no business, as a previous business and myself, you don't go into business unless you're going to make money. So if they're going to make a profit, they should put some of those profits, like major companies or small companies, businesses do, back into the business to promote it. So that's what I suggest, to please not put taxpayer money for maintenance and painting and stuff that Public Works does for the tennis courts right now, if they're going to sign a contract going forward. Just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Captain. Okay, next we have Aguila. Aguila. Sorry, I didn't see the R at the end.
That's okay. So, good evening. This is my first time. My name is Alejandro Aguila. I live in 901 Oriole. My father had a fixation with language, myth, and literature, particularly that of Greek origins. My sister and I still remember the dinner language drills. My dad at the helm, asking my sister and I for what today I would call $5 words. $5 words that neither her nor I, even today, remember the meaning of. Corporalia, metropolis, democracy, surely important one, right? And of course, my sister's favorite one, idiot, my middle name according to her. When it wasn't word drilling time, my father's topic at the table was that of Greek myths. His favorite being that of Alexander the Great and his search for the fountain of youth. Literature and history tells us that he wasn't alone on the quest. Ponce de Leon, Dorian Gray being some of those invested in defeating Father Time by way of either water from a magic fountain or river or a portrait. Today, at an old age, I'm certain that the closest thing to the fountain of youth is exercise, in particular racket sports, right? With that, I'm pledging my support for Match Point's continuance to continue the project, right? Programs like Manny's and that one, what I've seen that program give to my child in particular is not only a great way to remain active, the opportunity to make friends, learn social skills, build self-esteem, learn teamwork, and last but not least, it helps me bring him out of his video playing cave into the vast outdoors. I am truly grateful to our city and Manny's group for the work put into the youth program. And I just want to reiterate my support, and I would certainly hope the city continues to employ or contract Brad for that purpose.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Okay, Matthew Gonzalez.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
For those of you that do not know me, I am Matthew Gonzalez. I'm a Miami Springs resident and a member of the Tennis Center. I wanted to congratulate Manny Fabian on his retirement and for everything that he accomplished in Miami Springs over the last 10 years. But that said, I'm in favor of looking for a new proprietor for the Miami Springs Tennis Center. I'd like to see some better programming for the kids that allows them to better represent our city in tournament play. I'd like to see coaches out there with them when they're trying to represent our city out there in tournament play. I'd also like to see the city take a more active role in the oversight of the management of the tennis center to ensure all aspects of the facility, its management and its output are of the highest quality. And I just want to remind my fellow residents that the city has collected $0 in revenue from the tennis center over the last 10 years. That's despite the tennis center charging people $6 to play tennis, pickleball, or racquetball, $130 per person for an annual membership, $70 to $90 per person for private lessons, $130 to $200 per month for youth programs, which my children also do, pickleball clinics for $20 to $40 a person, and charging $200 per child per week for summer camp to use city facilities, $100 more than it costs to do it at the rec center, which is awesome, by the way. So I just want to say I'm happy to see that they're taking this very seriously. There's an RFP out there. I think it's great for the city, the things that are in there, profit sharing and that kind of thing. It's tough to see change, but I think this is best for tennis and the residents of Miami Springs. And I just want to say that the tennis center patrons are absolutely starved for information on this topic. I hope that you guys can talk a little bit about the future of the tennis center when discussing 9B. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Rosa Course.
Hi, good evening. My name is Rosa Kors. I've been living in Miami Springs for 10 years. My kids play tennis. They've been playing tennis with Manny for 10 years. And I don't know, I understand what you're saying. And I really, my kids are very happy there. It's like family. Not only Brad, but Tomas and Silvio, they've been there with my kids for 10 years. And I don't know. I cannot talk about money because I don't know. I just want to say I support them because I can see how my kids have grown, how many friends they have made. And I'm sorry, I'm very bad at talking in public. And I'm doing it because they really, I'm really happy with tennis. And my daughter, she goes to school in Coral Gables, and there was a time that it's better that you go to do tennis there because it's easier. But it's very, very expensive compared to here. It's crazy. Doral as well, it's very, very expensive. And they're happy. This is their neighborhood, their friends, they have everything there in tennis. And I don't know if we can better something, but they're really happy. And I just want to express that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and the last speaker we have is Lourdes Anton.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. First, I want to thank you for everything you've done for our city. Your enthusiasm and positive attitude has definitely made a change for us. And you're in the fine council that you have here also. The reason I'm here is I have some people from my block on Redbird. We have a big concern of an Airbnb house that's a home that's being used for Airbnb. And they've been using it for years. And I know that there's a lot of homes in Miami Springs that are doing this. And I don't want to burst the bubble on people that are, making a business out of this. But on our block, there's a safety issue. We have actual footage from a police couple that lives on our block, and they're actually dealing drugs. And, they're coming in and they're doing right there, right in front of everyone. There's children on our block. There's elderly people, me on the block. We don't know what these people can do. We've had people doing twerk dances nude. And this house really attracts a lot of the parties that we don't want to. That's not what we came to the Springs to live, to live here, to have that kind of community. I understand that on the beach and in the Gables, they have outlawed the Airbnbs. I don't know where we stand in the city. I should probably get more involved. We were talking as a group that maybe we need to form a committee or something. I'm not sure what advice you can give us or who I should talk to for that. But I wouldn't be standing here talking about people that are renting Airbnbs. I talk for my block on Redbird because it is a safety issue. They drive their cars at, I think, 60 miles an hour or something. And there's dogs and there's children on the block playing with their bikes. And, we're very concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. I know that public comment just finished and there was a lot of conversation about certain competitive procurements that are out right now. I just wanted to remind the council, of course, that right now there is a code of silence that prohibits communications between the council, staff, and lobbyists and service providers regarding that. So in an abundance of caution, just remember that right now there is a cone of silence on active competitive
On the
procurement.
tennis center. Yes. Thank you, Roger. Yes. We are out for competitive bid. All right. Thank you. I want to thank everyone who came here to speak. We greatly appreciate it. Like I said, open forum is designed for us to hear, and all of us hear the same thing from whatever the resident has to speak. I encourage you, if you have any questions afterwards, if you want to pursue this further, you can reach out to either our city manager, assistant city manager, our city clerk, or any of us individually, okay, and talk about the issues so it's not like it has to end there. It's just individually you can reach out to find out. I do want to say one comment. If you see something that is illegal, that is dangerous, like dealing drugs, you call the police immediately. Okay. And that needs to be over and over and over okay. I just want to make sure that that's real clear that, please reach out to any of us later. If anyone that spoke here, except for the tennis center, because we are under a code of silence right now. There's a competitive bid out for that. All right. Thank you so much. And I encourage all residents to when you have something that you want us to hear about, there may be something in the works, there usually is. In the meantime, going on, and you may not be aware of it, but we really appreciate hearing from you. Okay, we're going to move along to agenda item 6, which is approval of the council minutes from the January 22nd meeting.
The chair, motion to approve?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Yes. Okay. Call the vote, please.
Councilman Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez,
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay. If you have a question, you'll have to speak with the city clerk after the meeting. Okay, thank you. Oh, okay. All right. You know what? Let me just clarify this for whoever's listening. In order to speak at open forum, you need to be here right before the meeting, be here 1 minute before the meeting and sign up to speak but I'll go ahead. If you weren't aware of that and you were planning to speak 2 minutes, just sign here, Shirley. You don't want to say we want to hear from you and then say too bad. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay.
In reference to the tennis,
Could state your name,
my
please?
name's Chris Montello. I live at 241 Pocatello Street.
Okay.
In reference to the tennis center, my daughter's been involved there 6 years. What Manny laid the foundation. The woman who left and says it's family, it's absolutely family. I mean, he encourages the kids on all levels of their life. And what's amazing now is Brad has actually taken it to a whole new level. They have hundreds of kids there for summer camp. Hundreds of kids there now playing in all the different levels. I have 5-year-old twins as well as a 14-year-old. So the age gap of the people and the children that serve in the community, Brad and his family, they're amazing people. We're fortunate to have people run to run the facility like they do. And as far as affordability, I found it to be probably one of the most affordable things to do for my 3 girls. So I just want to speak on behalf of the tennis center. I think you guys should get behind Brad. Obviously, you're going to do a thorough process, but what he has done on top of the foundation that Manny has laid, very impressive. Very impressive. So I appreciate your time. I don't need all the time, but again, you should consider the quality of the people that we want around our children. And Brad and his wife, they'll carry the torch that Manny lit many years ago. And I would just throw one last comment on the Airbnbs. Super dangerous. I don't know how you deal with it. Maybe it is a special committee just to address and think about how, from a legal standpoint, you could even deal with it. But the more transient you get, because people are starting to figure out that they can stay here cheaply and get access to the beach and do whatever it is nefariously that they're doing. So I thank you for your time. Again, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we took the vote on the
With-
approval. Okay, so we'll move to reports from boards and commissions, and we have an update and review of the 2023 Centennial Committee report. And I believe Captain Pereira, we were expecting you to kind of walk us through it since Julie isn't here. Or, oh, Kathy, okay, how about all of you on the committee come up? Kathy, yes?
I
And
apologize to Kathy. I didn't see her hiding there.
yes, Kathy and our former councilman, Jaime Pereira, and Kathy Doyle, and Captain Nahal Pereira.
Former school teacher who taught both my daughters. Kathy.
First of all, before you even get started, I want to thank you for all of you that serve. How many are on the committee? Is it about
5 voting members
Just-
and 2
at large? Okay, thank you. This is a really big commitment that you've made starting last year, and to plan for our 2026 centennial celebration, City of Miami Springs. So we really appreciate all the hard work that you're doing, and this is a very engaged committee. So thank you so much. Go ahead.
Since Kathy has a lot of the items that she recommended, I'll let her start off because aviation playground 1 is hers. So all her items, I'll let her talk about if that's okay with
Okay.
the council.
Lower the mic.
Okay, we've all discussed this. We've been doing this since a year ago, last November. So November, what, 2022? Wow. Okay, so we generated like 100 ideas, I think, at least, from other sources. We researched online, et cetera, et cetera. And we tried to come up with a plan that would encompass most of our community sometime during the year, hopefully more people and more activities. We didn't want to have one weekend. We didn't want to have one event. We wanted to have something for everybody and extend it over the course of at least a year. Okay, we have a couple of things that we'd like to start a little bit early. Obviously, we have to do a lot of the research, a lot of the purchasing early and the competitions. But I just wanted to, just as an overview, the goal was to have a couple of things that are permanent and then a lot of fun and a lot of respect for the history of our city, knowing that so many people are new residents and so many people don't really understand our aviation history, and that our young people, don't necessarily have an appreciation for where we've been and where we're headed. So we want to make sure for them that we've rebirthed a love of our community that will carry them through their adulthood, as so many of our families are now on their second generation and third generation residences. Okay, so I'll just start with the aviation playground. I know that some of you were alarmed because I think the first estimate for pricing was a little bit a lot. We know that we can at least get like an airplane playground that has slides and things like that for like probably in the $3,000 range. The idea is to hopefully use land that we already have. The Historic Society is willing to think about their backyard, which would be adjacent on East Drive Park, Stafford Park, to be adjacent to the facilities that are there so that it could be used while, by little kids while their siblings are playing soccer or baseball, whatever it is that they're playing during the season. So that's the idea, so that there's a place in our community where we celebrate our aviation history. And if you've ever been to, you all been to the airport, but there's playgrounds in our airport now. And in a lot of airports, if you want to just Google it, they have amazing equipment. Okay, and much of it can be also used outdoors. I know there was also talk about possibly getting an and some people have done this already. They've found an airplane and had it repurposed. I think that's probably going to be beyond our budget. I don't know. We're still hoping that somehow that would happen. But anyway, we want an aviation playground. It would be one of the permanent things after the year is over that we would have contributed to our community, and it would be for our children. So that's the goal of that one. Okay, the pins, we've all agreed on this, and we think it's a great way to celebrate throughout the year, to reward people who come to our monthly event, whatever we designate. Once you get approval for these, we're going to have a calendar and have it set up. But if you come to the historical play, whenever that is, you get a pin for being there, and there'll be a pin each month. And by the end of it, you get, if you collected all your pins, you get the Centennial Committee pin, which has already been, the Centennial Committee logo has already been designed. So the idea is that we would sell the lanyards and people would try to collect them all, and then they can wear them around to the different festivals and, et cetera, et cetera. And again, Pride, and we need approval for that soon. It won't cost us very much except for the award, and the award could be, you get a free set of pins because you designed one of the pins. And we need to get those ordered so that we'll have them ready. Okay, but we have to have the competition, and that paperwork has already been drawn up by Sandra, I believe, and it's ready to go once you approve it. We're expecting to contact the schools and let the children submit designs, as well as our resident artists, 3 and up. Okay, so anyway. All right. Okay, you can do it, Alexis.
The Centennial Golf Tournament is what Alex, who was appointed, I believe, by you, Madam Mayor, and he's done an amazing job. He has been in communication with the golf folks around the county and other locations, and he has a lot of proposals. All we have is what he gave us here so far, and the recommendations, as you can see here, to be held at the Curtis Mansion, provided the mansion should be 50-50 income split, and all monies remaining from the cost of the tournament that are paid are donated to the Centennial celebration. He would like to create it as an annual event if this is successful. And he's got a lot of sponsors that he has lined up that he's working with presently to achieve that objective. I wish you were here because you could elaborate it a little bit more. And then the next item is the centennial release of history by Mr. Seth Bramson. As you all know, in this city, he's quite famous. He's very knowledgeable, and he's working on this project. He's looking for a small donation, and I know that the city is in a situation right now, it's hard, but maybe on the next budget, we can consider his production of this item, I believe was $2,000 he had mentioned to us, which pretty much is not much in my humble opinion for him to produce this and create a book for the centennial. And the next item is the centennial.
Captain, just let me ask you on that, just so we're clear, the 2,000 is to produce the book and then the book would be sold?
Yes,
Would,
with profit, and the
The
profit
profit would go to the
for
Centennial Committee.
Exactly, for the Centennial Committee. He's doing it totally free of charge. It's voluntary.
okay.
And the next one is Kathy's again.
Okay, and then the idea, one of our other permanent contributions to the community would be centennial trees. We've spoken with several people. We know that there's an annual budget for tree planting in our city. So hopefully we would like to start this Arbor Day so that the trees are alive and thriving by 2026. And then the idea would be that we would choose one of them. And the idea is that we'd have one at each entrance and at least one either at the circle or at that end of Curtis Parkway, so that there would be one in the center of our city, but one greeting us in each of the corners. And the vote was the golden, right? That's what it's called. The golden Poinciana, because we have Poinciana Boulevard and at least two of them would be on Poinciana Boulevard, and that would be an additional joyful whatever. Okay, and then I added, and this is just something for the future, but I'm so excited to see so many Poinciana trees planted already in the new easement on the east side of the city. And there's quite a few toward our City of Miami Springs sign on Curtis. I came from Japan this past spring, and one of the cool things about the Cherry Blossom Festival in Japan is that they have illuminations at night. And I'm thinking some year, not 2026, because the trees won't be big enough or blooming by then, but some year in the future, for those of you who are around, wouldn't it be cool if we had a festival that we celebrated at night and lit all the Poinciana trees and we had our own illumination, Poinciana illumination instead of a cherry blossom illumination? Anyway, okay. And we should be able to, I think you already budgeted for us for 5,000. We haven't spent any of it yet. So between the budget for the trees, the annual tree budget, and this budget, hopefully we can already start this, okay, with your approval. Thank you.
And the next item is Glen Curtis Aviation and Food Festival. We kind of amended the name because the whole objective, which was proposed by Councilman Jorge Santin, is to use his name and the aviation celebration as an annual thing, because the objective of this centennial, the committee and all of us, is to try to create some of these programs going forward, because I believe the council had discovered, I think it was you, Madam Mayor, that 80% of the population in the United States of America travel for cultural events. I think it was this council, or was it our council that came up? Some council came up with this, that it was a proven fact that Americans travel for cultural reasons. And what more culture that we have a tremendous amount of things to offer the general public in this country and the world. So that's the way Jorge was thinking. And it used to be called Taste Springs, which is a good thing to put in parentheses. Was my humble suggestion, but to use Glen Curtis's name because he deserves all the accolades. And like Councilman Petrolanda said, this whole event is all about him. He's the one who founded this great city. And there's so much that he has not been credited with. And we are trying to make some amends. And the Curtis Museum is more than happy and very proud of our achievements so far and what we're trying to achieve. And actually, there's a further thought down the road to create a museum next to the Curtis Mansion. I know all this takes money, but we are working on all these aspects. And the museum will hopefully be willing to work with Julia Arias with Curtis Mansion, because there's a lot of land there that we can try to utilize to create a museum there. It was just something, food for thought, since you're talking about Glenn Curtis. So this is basically self-explanatory, except the budget is kind of on the high side. But
Money making eventually.
it will be generating, yeah, thank you, Pam. It'll be generating income. So it might be an initial outlay, but whatever income is generated, we will try to work with Chris, the city finance manager, and work away, and the city manager, how we can allocate those funds. The next item is the Glenn Curtis.
Just interject,
Sorry.
just with the Taste of the Springs, that's something that we used to have. It was wonderful. It was so much fun.
Yes.
Just so you know, the Women's Club is planning on doing a Taste of the Springs
Right.
in April, early April, kind of bringing it
This
back.
year.
So, and they plan for it to be an annual event. So I'm sure for 2026, they would be more than happy to work with the committee and, you know,
Great.
and what's nice about that is we'd already have, it's not something we've never done, you know, it's
Yeah.
something that we've been doing that has 2 years to kind of build up the momentum. Because when they used to have it, it was very popular.
Yes, it was.
Just to say that Julie has big plans for this as opposed to what we remember. I mean, she's thinking in terms more like
Mhm.
the food and wine festivals down, you know, big money raisers and bringing in big restaurants. So
Wonderful.
yeah, so great that we're starting. 'Cause that's our ideas. If we can get in the habit of it by 2026, we'll be good at it and we'll be excited about it.
Yeah, thank you. That's something else I was going to add, because it's always good to think big and plan big and follow the examples of other cities, which we are doing now. We're communicating with other cities, trying to get the ideas. We had one gentleman speak to us not too long ago. Anything else on, and the Taste of the Springs, the reason I suggested that to put in parentheses because of Chair Julia Arias. Because the idea is not to just have Miami Springs restaurants, which we used to have a lot more on 36th Street, to invite other restaurants in the area of Miami, even from Doral or Wynwood or wherever we can get people to come in here, because they're going to generate income, but we are going to make it an opportunity for them to also donate towards our committee. So that's the idea, is to reach out outside of Miami Springs to get the restaurants and the businesses in there. Moving on to the next item is the Glen Curtis Park nameplate. There is one supposedly, I looked for it, I couldn't find it, it's hidden somewhere. Supposedly there, but it's not large enough and not giving Captain Curtis the accolades he needs. So the plate needs to be installed. And also I discussed this with a gentleman who was able to get all those lights on the bridge. They call him Gogo Gomez. And he said when the time comes, he will work with Dade County and the county and the city to see if we can maybe get Curtis Parkway, instead of just Curtis, call it either Captain Glenn Curtis Parkway as an honorary, give him that, just like the Navy gave him the father of naval aviation. I feel the city of Miami Springs, since he founded us, maybe give him an honorary degree like they give degrees to for PhDs, etc., as captain, because when he taught Navy pilots to fly, which won World War I instrumentally due to his inventions and his creations and his Curtis Aircraft Corporation. The Allied forces actually won World War I. That is a fact. It's in history books. But unfortunately, the Wright brothers got all the credit because they took the first flight. They put their airplane in a hangar for 3 years. In the meantime, Curtis is the one who did all the work. The Navy calls him the father of aviation for another reason. The first aircraft carriers were built by Glenn Curtis. That's how the Navy has airplanes flying onto ships, because he created the amphibious airplane. He created the landing gear that are used to this day, ailerons that are used to this day. He invented all of this. Whenever I fly on an airplane, now I realize the amazing work this man did at such a young age. So having said that, I feel that our city should, with the help of the council and this administration, give him that credit. You look at any city in the United States who recognizes Dr. Martin Luther King, they don't say King Boulevard, King Parkway. They say Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard. I use this discussion in our committee. So why don't we call him and give him that degree, Captain Glenn Curtis Parkway? Just one parkway, and every place street is. And with your help and the administration to apply to Dade County, Gogo said he'll work with all of you to try to get that a reality. So I mentioned that, and the plaque also, which should be in a big bold brass or bronze plate to recognize that its name actually is Glen Curtis Circle Park. And that's hidden somewhere, and I don't know, has anybody seen this? I think Jorge saw it. You haven't seen it, right? But it's supposedly there. And the next item, 8, if you can move along, I don't want to take too much time. Next item is the Glen Curtis Motorcycle Show and Soapbox Derby, which we discussed back and forth. My idea is to have a motorcycle, but I don't think the police would agree with that, have a race. Have a race, because Glen Curtis was the fastest man on earth and the air for quite a few years. But just recently, this weekend, Councilman, again, Jorge, on his own accord, went to West Palm Beach, and he found this place in Palm Beach that has a vintage motorcycle show. So now he has invited these people to come to Miami Springs, and he's going to give them a tour of the city and try to talk them into getting involved in our centennial. They also have a thing, and it's a website, Palm Beach Concours, CONCOURS.com. They also have a vintage car show. Now we have to, I mean, honestly, we have a great car show, but every year it's the same cars with 1 or 2 exceptions. So maybe to invite these people also to do the car show at another time, Jorge thought was a good idea. Unfortunately, he's not here because he's celebrating his anniversary. This his wife didn't realize it on his council meeting. So he apologizes to all of you. So that's the name change there that Sandra said she will put into effect when we meet next Monday. So we're just going to add vintage just above Curtis Motorcycle.
Most of these probably don't work very fast, so we don't have to worry about the police. Because
Yeah.
our idea, I'm just going to add this
Go
because you'll appreciate it. You know, don't forget that Glenn Curtis also founded Hialeah and also helped with the development of the racetrack and the Coral Rock and everything, because he was really into the coral. And so we were thinking maybe we could just get the racetrack to host the motorcycle race if they wanted to do a fast one. But he was also an inventor. And our idea with this is to also challenge the children to decorate their bikes or build little go-karts. Remember what go-karts were back in the day? Non-motorized, and let them decorate them and come up with an inventive, have young children's category where they can build their own. Because that's how, you all know, you may not know this, okay, but his first motorcycle, he used tomato cans to build an 8-cylinder motor. And that's how he generated and then he went 136 miles per hour on it on the beach in Ormond Beach without brakes, just in case you didn't know.
That's true.
That's right.
Absolute fact. And the next item is yours, Kathy.
Oh.
New
No,
Year's
yeah.
Eve fireworks.
Oh, okay. So hopefully we can find a way to fund this. Okay, because the idea is in 2026, since we didn't have fireworks in 2023, we thought we could impose upon you all to do a fireworks for New Year's Eve just to welcome in our centennial. Non-negotiable, right?
That's a terrific idea that she came up with, but I said that money was probably put into the budget 2 years ago. But
It's being optimistic.
but she's optimistic. That's good. It's always good to be optimistic. And Kathy, the next item is yours too, so please.
Okay. Okay, so we want to involve our school children in a variety of ways. We're going to first of all invite them to start designing the pins. But the idea is in fourth grade, I think it's still fourth grade, Walter, you probably know better than I do. They study local history. And our idea is something called Traveling Trunks. My husband, who was in charge of social science education for years, has agreed to help with this. But he heard about this where you just put a bunch of like artifacts. And we would not use original ones. We would use facsimiles from the Historic Society. And I found little aviation outfits that they could get their pictures taken in, little boys and girls. It won't cost us that much. We'd probably create like 3, one for each of the bigger elementary schools, and then maybe one that we can share with the charter schools, so that during the course of the year, the kids would get a chance to firsthand get to examine and to maybe write about or to do a presentation with or whatever. We'll come up with some lesson plans that meet the curriculum but that they could have some fun with their own local history because they have to study Miami, but they don't necessarily have ever studied Miami Springs before. So that's the idea for the elementary school. Middle school, we had an essay contest that was run out of the mansion for a number of years that asked students to search for unsung heroes that made contributions to our society. And I got a chance to score those essays for a couple of years, and we opened it to the county. But maybe this time we'll feature our own students and run the same kind of investigation. I read about heroes that were dogs and just amazing people, and the kids that spoke about it were just enthralling. So I think that's really good for that age group. And then if you don't know anything yet about, I guess you did, because it was at this meeting that we had the presentation about the aviation center at the high school. And I thought after that, one of our monthly events should be an open house where we can get to go play with the flight simulators and get a chance to know what it's like to be a real pilot, like our captain here, and use the high school kids for almost all our events throughout the year, the high school kids in all our schools, to get service requirements by helping to host, helping to guide, give directions, whatever. So there you go.
I think you got the next one also.
Oh,
Yes.
Jiminy.
Yes.
It's like, I sat down and wrote my the good old English teacher wrote her reports and some other people didn't. Okay. Oh, okay. So this might cost nothing, and it might cost us whatever it cost us the last time to bring the waterworks here. But, and then 10 years ago, I didn't realize it was when we first opened the mansion. So shortly after we opened the mansion, we had the Smithsonian. They have traveling exhibits that already exist. And ours was based on water. I can't remember what it was exactly called. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. When you walked into the back room of the mansion, it was like walking into a room of the Smithsonian. It was incredible. And apparently you qualify for that by applying for grants at the state level. Okay, but we've already had that one. All right. They also, when they list their outreach, projects, they list one that's already sort of retired. So I guess they have it in storage someplace. And it's just posters about all the aviation in World War I. Okay, and that probably wouldn't, maybe they charge us for shipping and we would just put on display. But they also have something called Spark, which we could apply for, and that's about inventions. Because don't forget, one of the things that we're celebrating is not just aviation with Glenn Curtis, but he had, how many? Do you remember? 400 patents and like 800 applications for patents. Yeah, it's ridiculous. He was just an inventor from beginning to end. So those are possible, but I'm trying to get in touch. We've played phone tag and I haven't gotten a response. But the lady that runs their outreach program, because we're trying to convince them, why don't you just develop a program for early aviation? Considering it's the time is here. So I don't know if they would do that, and that's probably going to be really pricey. But anyway, we're working on it. If we can bring something, it would be wonderful, and we'll see. That you? Oh, let me say this.
What?
At the end of this presentation, you all need a big round of applause for this gentleman.
I don't want to know applause unless you're talking about Jaime. The next item is the statue monument unveiling. Yeah, we have to present this to you because you all are the ones who are going to approve it. Sandra said she would go along with whatever you all and the administration agree. So her recommendation of the fireworks for the night before, it says 26th, but technically 31st, 2025 at midnight would be the 26th correctly. So that would be New Year's Eve. So January 1st, 2026 is what I would humbly recommend and suggest to unveil the Glenn Curtis statue and the 2 airplanes that should be ready by that date. Have all 3 ready to be unveiled on the 1st of the year, because we are going to have celebrations all throughout, because Captain Curtis's birthday is in May, but the city was founded in August. So it's best we start from the 1st, if that's agreeable to all of you. in the city as well as the council. And I recommended, since it's New Year's Day and people are probably going to be partying all night, especially in the city, maybe, I would recommend maybe late afternoon, like 2 or 3, to do the unveiling with all the city officials and the historians and all of you there later in that afternoon of the 1st, but still to keep it on the 1st if you all agree to it. And I guess we'll all have to discuss that as to the date to unveil the statue, the bronze statue, which, by the way, I just give you an update. They recommended, the people who are building this recommended 7 feet, and the only reason is the objective is to elevate this slightly higher than ground level. The Wright brothers has a statue at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University at ground level, but people hang around that thing and they do all kinds of things with photographs and they ruin the statue. So from their experience, they recommended 4 feet or 4 feet 3 inches high, and then put the statue, the bronze statue, on top.
The 7-foot.
Pardon?
The 7-foot statue.
It would be
on
a
top of
7-foot,
the
even
foot.
though Glenn Curtis ironically was my height. But they recommend 7 feet because of the fact that it's elevated. Others, it'll look too small from what they have done in the past. So that's what their recommendation was. And as far as the 2 airplanes, they are actually, one is the airplane I mentioned earlier. That was the reason the Allied forces won World War I. That was the Jenny. And actually, there was one here in the lobby not too long ago. I think it's not there anymore. But the Jenny was one, and the next one we are trying to envision is the NC-4 that also was Curtis's invention. There were 4 of those. 2 made it across. 1 had to stop because of a malfunction, but 1 crossed the Atlantic. And that's a 2-wing airplane. The Jenny is also 2-wing, but it's a small airplane. So, and as far as the location, we've discussed this among the committee, all of us. The unfortunate thing is the circle would be ideal, but how are pedestrians going to get there to see this? So having the discussion among our committee, we elected to choose the location to be where the clock is right now, to put the Curtis statue there before the war memorial. And then the World War I, which will be also a World War I airplane, which is the Jenny, and the other airplane on either side. We would have to go and, the planners would have to go and look at this and see how it's best going to fit with the clock there. But this way, more people can visually see it, not only by driving, but when they walk, they'll be able to stand and read the plaque. Otherwise, it's only going to be when the city has a function and the streets are closed, which would be a shame. Because between this statue and the airplanes is going to come to, I'm estimating about $200,000. That's a high end. So that's why the range is 150 to 200,000.
That's for the 3.
All 3, yes. I'm working with another, the statue is being built by a bronze company that is very famous. I've got 3 estimates, and they're the best one and the best product. Theirs is going to be done out of state. However, the airplanes are going to be done by a gentleman who lives in Miami Springs. His name is Roger Jarman. You all may know him. He's a businessman. He owns Atlantic Models, and he actually builds models for Boeing and Airbus, and they're all over Air Force bases all across the United States, including Homestead Air Force Base, which I had shared the pictures with the committee. And if you all ever need to see anything or talk to him, at the time is right, he will be willing to come and talk to you all to talk about it. But I've already gone to see him with Mayor, Councilman Santin, and talked to him on 2 or 3 occasions with my wife as well. So he's more than willing to do the airplanes. We are still negotiating the price. Of course, I'm trying to keep it as low as possible.
Okay, the only thing I want to make a comment on that, and I don't know, you'll have to speak with the city manager, is anything that's going to be city funds that we're doing, we have to approve the design. What
Correct.
it's going to be, what the statue is going to be and everything. So I
Right.
don't want you to get too far, and I don't know, I'm not
Yes.
saying that you have, but to get too far in
I understand.
designing something, and this is what they're.
Right. Now,
I know they could make, of course, drawings of it,
Sure.
with estimated cost but
now the statue, as you know, the funds are coming from an individual.
Yes, and so that may be different. And again, I will defer to our city attorney and you know
Right.
how the funding
Better,
is,
yeah.
even with that of
And
how
I'm
these processes
hoping
are, but
to get
heard
Roger
that there's a
down.
very, very passionate resident. We're very lucky to have a resident in Miami Springs who's very passionate
Well, I
about the
spent,
Centennial and about Glenn Curtis and,
well, it has a lot to
that's
do
good
with
news.
my having been here when I was 17 and a half years old, 53 years as a resident here and learned to fly right driving out of here to Tamiami Airport. And I was successful, fortunately, to get on with a major airline. And I was fortunate to achieve all this because of the United States of America allowing me to be a citizen here and this beautiful city that let me live here. So I owe at least that much. And having, thanks to this committee, learned a lot about one individual. I can't believe what this one man was able to achieve. I just mentioned a few things, and I flew those airplanes for years, just came back on a Boeing 777, and I was telling my wife, if not for Curtis, we wouldn't have this airplane to fly on. Even the landing gear and the aileron is what he invented. So anyway, getting back to the story here, I appreciate you mentioning that, man. So
Yes, and I don't know,
hopefully-
but eventually it has to be approved by council.
Correct.
My understanding, right, Roger, the final design. So perhaps speak to our city manager and
Sure.
make sure that I don't want you
Yeah.
to go too far and then we have to back.
Oh, no, I know. I'm aware of that. And I know that I've been told so far that it's going to take 6 to 8 months, but I want to have at least a year to have everything finalized with all of you concerned, including the designs and everything. So I will have them start planning this in the middle of 2025. So I can have it presented to the council and the administration and the attorney's office. So even the ones that this individual is funding, because hopefully the statue and one of the airplanes I can cover.
And you're saying that very quickly, but I agree with Kathy. We need to hear it, what the generous donation that you're making to the city.
I had done it before, but if you want me to
Yes,
say it
I'd like
again,
you to say it
it's
again.
United States $100,000 donation
From this
to the
resident. Like a
I
statue.
said United States because I traveled around. the world. And that is for the Glenn Curtis bronze statue, as well as hopefully Mr. Roger Jarman agreeing to be able to do one of the airplanes for under that price, to keep it under 100,000. The rest of the money, there are opportunities. I'm still working, and we are working on the letters to send it out to other airlines to see whether airlines would sponsor it. And that way the city won't have to come up with any funds and or sponsors. Because it looks like there'll be a shortage of about $55,000 to $80,000, but I believe we can raise it. I'm optimistic.
That's amazing. And and I'm speaking not just on behalf of the council, but as residents of Miami Springs,
Thank you
Captain
for saying that.
Breda, that we're
Thanks.
very, very grateful.
I can't talk to him, but I can hug
Very, very generous donation for celebrating our city's centennial, our beloved city's centennial.
You're very welcome. I appreciate you saying that. And the next item again is Kathy's, and I believe past councilman would like to say something.
Okay, so these were other projects that we are hoping to pawn off to organizations, et cetera, but we found them and we're sharing them already. So we're nominating, and they already know, the Women's Club to think about doing a decades fashion show and fundraiser, and that would be for their funds. But it would be a whole lot of fun since this was all started in we were founded in the 20s, and we could have a roaring 20s. I think that's also on the books for a major fundraiser as far as an evening party at the mansion to do major fundraising. Okay, that's separate. This would be a luncheon targeting mostly the ladies probably in the community, and having, dress up party and having either high tea or lunch or something like that. So we're hoping that would be something that that's right up Women's Club Valley, I think. So they seem to be willing to anticipate it. Okay, the play apparently is going to be, there's apparently one already written that was written, I think, for the 75th anniversary. And it's something about a clothesline or something. I can't imagine. I never saw it, so I can't imagine. But anyway, they have committed to updating it for our centennial. And I think we can support it by, maybe having special field trips, maybe having some matinee performances that the students can have, maybe having some of the characters go visit the schools as speakers, et cetera, maybe. So that was something there. Okay, and that's already, we've contacted them and that they're willing to do that and they're planning to do that. Then we thought we could invite the churches to maybe, because we have historic, beautiful buildings in this community and we don't get to see them unless we're invited to a wedding or some kind of event. So we were going to challenge the choirs maybe to have like a sing off or something like that, or maybe during the Easter season or sometime when they're more likely to have, or Christmas, I don't know, and when they already have a festival or a repertoire planned, and maybe invite the congregations to have like a chance to see, and the community a chance to see the different facilities, et cetera. We also thought maybe we could just put it out there that we could challenge people to have block parties sometimes during the summer, because we're trying to avoid a lot of our big events during the summer, even though our city's birthday, right, is August 20 something. It's like 26. So hot. It's back to school, a horrible time. So, we'll do something that day. We'll serve birthday cake or something. But to really have a fest, maybe, in 4th of July or whatever, I don't know, to just invite communities to recreate neighborhood communities again. And then we wouldn't force anybody, but we could publicize them. We could maybe ask River Cities to, feature pictures and things like that. One of our thoughts initially was to also, and I don't think we want to coordinate this because it would be a nightmare, I think, but to invite neighborhoods or people to plant in their easements. If they don't already have a tree outside their house on the easement, that maybe we could coordinate for a couple of years and maybe just have the planting during their party, their block party or something like that. So that's all, we've read these ideas in other communities and we're just thinking that might be a good thing. Am I done? Yes. Oh, you want to talk about all this or?
Just want to say,
Okay, go ahead.
as you can see, she was doing all the work, right?
Oh, no.
That's why she's a school teacher.
Always
Retire.
always the
We're not.
teacher.
Just want to make a few comments.
Councilman, speak into the microphone.
We all working together. That's how they came up with these things. First of all, I believe Ms. Doyle talked about having a plane at the playground. I think she mentioned $3,000. I think it was more like $15,000.
Depends on what we do.
Okay, something we had spoken about that day.
Wait,
that
go
night.
back to that,
That was
because
a
I heard 300,000.
3,000. 300. No, the first one that she spoke
No,
about.
something, okay, that's why I had written it down there and I'm going, that's.
So the playground. it's the
So I'm
first
glad.
item.
you're- Okay, I just probably,
My suggestion was that maybe we could get an actual plane and retrofit it into a playground. Now, I text you all while I was standing here, a picture of 2 planes. I think they're similar to the ones that Amelia Earhart was flying, that we could probably pick up fairly cheap and retrofit it and make it into a playground. That's better than what they built. I mean, this is an actual plane. We had to do some modifications, but something we need to look at. I think we should look at that. Like I said, I text you some pictures. We can probably pick that plane up fairly cheap. The second point I want to make is that we discuss and we want to make this into a tri-city festival. So I spoke to last year when we had the gala at the mansion. Commissioner Bass was there from Opalaca. We spoke to her briefly, and we've been staying in contact with her. When I say we, I mean the Historical Society. And they like the idea. They like the idea. It's just that it was brought up to my attention that maybe you folks should be the ones who are making the contacts with these people. You can call Bobo and the mayor and at Opalaca.
about having like
A big festival, all 3 cities.
right.
I think that's why we changed the name from Miami Springs, what is it, food?
Taste of Springs.
The Taste of Springs to that because
Okay, I'm getting a little confused. What are we talking about the whole we're not talking about the whole year centennial? No,
we're trying
talking
to make
about
it into all 3 cities because,
for the whole year, everything
Yeah.
that we're doing, or?
well, that's
Certain
kind of what
event.
we were talking about. some events, not all of the events, some events. And that's why during the Taste of the Springs, we called it Glen Curtis.
Because my only thought with that, and again, I know you guys are working all this out, is if we agree to host a lot of these things between the three cities, and maybe they want to host them over there, and then we're losing having the events
It's
here.
something we have to get
So,
together.
right, so, because I doubt that they're going to want to have all their celebrations in Miami
obviously.
Springs.
But
So
it would be shared.
just a thought, right?
And then we can bring the restaurants from these cities, from Hialeah and Opalaca here, and then we'll, we kind of do things over there. And I think it should be a three-city, some events. Yes.
Of course, and definitely invite
At
them.
least
in.
invite them and publicize what we're doing. And maybe, I think Hialeah technically is 2025, right? But Opalaca is 2026 with us. And so maybe.
They're actually before us. Theirs is in May.
But the same year, same
Opalaca,
year.
Same year, but
Yeah,
in May.
right.
And ours
But-
is August 23rd.
Right.
Which is
but-
a Sunday. So
I
that
know,
we
I
can.
know. We'll think about it.
But it's the whole year. I mean.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
We're not, but what I was going to say is, we don't know how far along they are in their planning, but we could volunteer to publicize their events as well, just because, and then of course, when we do something big like the Smithsonian, hopefully we can, one of the selling points for bringing Smithsonian here is that we're going to have an audience beyond our little community that would want to see the exhibits.
I'll be sure to reach out to the mayors of both cities and see how we can coordinate the celebrations.
The Historical Society's been working with Opalaca on some of the events that they've been doing. Ken, myself, and some of our members have actually been at these events. They participated in the events, so we already have that going. So if you can feel out, if you can look at it from the political part, if you guys can make the connections and discuss with them what we're planning, maybe Opalaca is the ideal, because Hialeah is what, a year later?
The year before.
Earlier. So maybe Opalaca and us could join together and do something.
But having said that, I do agree with what the mayor says. We have to be careful, because if we bring all those cities here to collaborate with us to do this,
We'll go with it.
then what's
We've
going to
been-
happen to the donations we raise for Miami Springs? So we have to be cautious how we do this.
We're doing it now.
Well, I was just thinking more of events that we're coordinating with them, that they're probably going to want to say, well, those events we want to have over there, and I think everything we've got here, we like it to be here, to be part of Miami Springs, but I'm all for working with them, of course. And for people, our residents who may wonder why we keep talking about Hialeah and Opalaca, I think it's important just to clarify that Glen Curtis was the developer of the three cities, Miami Springs, Hialeah, and Opalaca.
Yeah, very few people know that.
Yes. And Opalaca has the theme, like we have the theme city of Pueblo Mission. Opalaca had the Arabian Nights theme, and was there a theme for Hialeah? I don't know
I don't think.
if there maybe. Okay. All right.
But thank you very much for your time.
And I just want to say, we also need permission soon to start sending out the letters for donations. So I know that's another issue, but we're waiting patiently because we can't do much without money.
No, you'll I'll be giving you guys a green light soon enough, and I'll let you know. I
Yeah.
just gotta confirm with finance to make sure we're ready for it.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I don't have a question, but I want to make a comment based on some of the things that were said that to me are super important. First of all, to congratulate you guys for the work that you've done. I mean, this is 2 years now since we started talking about this. This is, I believe we're on the right track. I mean, I started looking at some of the numbers, and there's always a concern, but I think that having done fundraising in another life, first you need to talk about what you want to do, what's it going to cost, and when you're going to get the money from it. So I think we're getting to that point where it's kind of figuring out, kind of parceling it out and saying, okay, and we might be able to do this and we might be able to do that. And of course, a contribution from the city within our budget, and I'll be coming up next in the summer. But the most important thing that I heard, and I think it's fundamental, and when I was looking at other cities who have done centennials in Florida, I didn't find as much when I did the first recommendation to the council is the idea of doing all this work, but doing something that's permanent, right? And that, in my view, what we're talking about is really branding the city. You know, aviation city, but we want to give it substance. And you look at that acrylic up there. There's a reason why that airport was put there in the mid 1930s, right? And that is in part because of the work that Glenn Hammond Curtis did with aviation, landing planes on what is now Curtis Parkway, training World War I fighter pilots. Right here in Miami Springs, airplanes used to land on Westwood Drive. And I think that this is an ideal opportunity to work with the airlines to really get the support of the airport, that we can point to. Not only say we're an aviation city, we can point to and say, and here are the spots that you ought to come to visit, you know, during the centennial and then past the centennial with all the education, planning and opportunities that that will be designed and all permanent things. I think that's the key, right? And so, you know, raising that money, right? First of all, Captain Nihal, thank you so very much for your very generous donation. You know, like to see someone say, I'll see you 100 and I'll raise you.
Yeah, I'd like to
Yeah,
see
look,
it
look,
with
look,
somebody.
look at us sitting up
I'm,
here.
I'm still trying to get some businessmen
Okay,
in
no,
Miami
and I know,
Springs to
I
give
know
another
you are.
100.
I know you are, but I'm delighted to see the effort that's been put in, where we've come so far. I've been able to attend the last couple of meetings because I haven't been feeling well, but as you said, a meeting on Monday, I'm gonna try to go and sit in, but thank you for all the effort, work that you've done so far, because I think it creates the number one, the momentum, and number two, a permanent part of our celebration that when it's over at the end of 2026, we can say, and now we're going to move on to the next, come and see Miami Springs. I think that absolutely recognizing Captain Glenn Hammond Curtis is essential. He's a transformational figure in aviation, and he founded our city. And even with some of the things that he helped to design in terms of motorcycles and airplanes, we ought to have that kind of presence here. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Mayor, I want to say something real quick, speaking about money. As you all know, I'm part of the CMA board now. Last meeting we gave direction to Julie.
Clarify, Councilman, CMI, so if anyone's
Oh,
listening.
Curtis
you know,
Mansion
Curtis
Inc.
Mansion.
is the group of
Curtis.
people that take care of the mansion. So we gave Julie what was it? We told her to go hire a grant writer. We gave her direction to hire a grant writer, and I have to tell you, she already did, and we have a grant writer at the Curtis Mansion under our budget. So maybe she can work with the city. Do we have a grant writer?
We do.
You do? Okay. So we're gonna be searching money for these projects through CMI as well. I just wanted to mention that because the councilman here seems to worry about the money, and so do I.
No, not
gotta
worry about it, but to plan for it, right? And break it up into parts and say, where can we get this and that from?
Well, I think, and something that we need to, and I know you're waiting to put out the letter, is that if we're asking for donations or for sponsorship from, it has to be set up. We can't get a company to commit for sponsorship and then we go, okay, hold on, we'll get back to you and let you know where so we have to have all our ducks in order and make sure that, we can just hit the ground running. And this is Another thing that I wanted to just mention, Councilman Vasquez, you said it's been 2 years. Actually, it's been 1 year, right? Because
Well,
you
but
started
it's already
in,
talking
yes, we started
about
talking
2
about,
years.
but this committee has this past
We've been
year.
meeting since November of 2022.
Too. So it's been over a little over a year and you've just been a powerhouse of,
Just feels like.
so
And we
we're-
have meetings that you all should come to because they're a lot more fun than your. Mostly
wait,
because
something's
we're out
more
a
fun
lot.
than this. Then
Can I
Monday
just say-
nights here, Monday night
Can
football.
I just say something for the public too? You're all invited. There's 5 of us. We can't do all this by ourselves. So, you can contact Sandra, I think. She's going to start sending out our messages for our meetings to anybody who signed up to volunteer when we sent out the questionnaire, which is probably a year ago now, and anybody else who's interested. So, we
But it's
welcome.
also on our social media is,
Yeah.
whenever there's a centennial or any advisory board meeting are posted on our social media and on our website. So, I
But we're going to need,
echo what
we're
you're
going to
saying.
need our community, our whole
Yes.
community to help
And
make this happen. So-
Even though there's just 5 voting members, it's the kind of committee that's set up for community involvement for ideas. And I know all of you are very, very open and willing to listen to anyone who shows up at the meetings.
And thank you very much, Dr. Victor Vasquez, on your historic approach on the Miami Airport. However, I want to also mention that Glenn Curtis not only built airplanes, he also was famous for the aero car and motorcycles and so many other things that he was
And
aware.
our boats for the
Airboats.
Miccosukee.
He was into everything. So we have to highlight all of that also on the website, which we are working on. And I want to commend and ask the council to please commend this logo was created by in-house by Shannon Jason. And I believe she should also be commended when she gets done with this website because she's doing a pretty good job so far. So we are working on it. No, considering I thought she had gone to school for this. She said no. She didn't take any of these courses in school because my daughter did something similar. She went to school for all of this, but Shannon did not. So I'm quite impressed by what she has achieved. That's amazing. And thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. for
Any
your
more
time.
questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you again for all your hard work and for this excellent report.
Mayor, I did.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I wanted to thank you for mentioning that about the donations. The committee has done a great job. They've brought this to this point right now. But in order to really ask for donations, we have to tell them what we're gonna do. So at some point, we need to officially adopt. So if I'm assuming you guys probably want to take a look at this a little further and discuss it and maybe at a future meeting. But at some point we need to say, yes, this is what we're gonna do. We want this. And then we can go and start seeking, donations. Because you hit the nail on the head, Mayor. If you ask somebody for a donation, oh, we're gonna do something, and then all of a sudden, well, we're gonna do something else, but still part of the
Right.
centennial.
No, it has to be.
It may not be prudent to accept
So
donation.
what do you recommend, JC, with this report?
Well, we're
say,
gonna
for the
need
next
to,
meeting?
at some point, whether at the next meeting or the one after, discuss and have a conversation with the council and say, and either if you guys like the whole plan, then we do it and we try to execute as best as possible. Or if there's some things that you like and you want to change, that's fine too. But ultimately have an officially adopted and accepted program so that we can start working towards that.
Okay, I think we should probably move on that as soon as possible, of getting that.
So
For the next meeting, if it's possible, or
we
the
can
one after.
put it on
if
to the
not.
next meeting.
You know what I would like to see too, I think would be helpful, and I know the committee included that in some things, is a timeline, like a calendar of, this month, this is what's happening, and some things may be the same month and everything, but like Kathy, you suggested, it's just basically, my understanding is to start the year with fireworks and display. And we may be able to do that. We may not. I'm not even going there, but I'm saying that would be the start. And then right after that is a statue unveiling. So kind of a timeline calendar of,
So
Mhm.
And
Why don't you come and speak here so it's,
There's only a couple of things that we need like to do yesterday. We need the letter, so but that we can wait for that. But the things that really need to be done this year, I think, okay, are the pins, the approval to have the competition, not just sort of to make the pins, but to have the competition by the end of the school year. So we would like to do that. I mean, you have to give kids a couple of months to do that, and teachers to just expand the, give the information out, et cetera, et cetera. And the trees, we would like, and I'm not sure that takes an extra budget item if we can fit it into the arbor budget for this year, but to approve the trees for this year, just so we could get these, these are things that have to happen way before 2026. And we have our $5,000. So I know I'm on Monday's meeting, I can still decide how to spend that, but we don't want to spend it on something you don't want to do. Does that make sense?
yeah, can I make
Does
a
that make sense?
suggestion, Mayor? So there's a lot that I think of is still, I mean, this is a plan, but there's a lot of things that are pending and a lot of things that we kind of don't know so I suggest that we, rather than try to adopt the entire plan, why don't we pick like the two biggest ticket items, like the statues and maybe the playground? And then that way we say, okay, this is what we're doing so that donations can go towards that. Because I think it's going to be very difficult for us to agree on an overall plan of all 12 to 15 events that we want to do for the sake of fundraising. I think that like the biggest ticket items are the statues, right? So I think that we should focus our fundraising and donation efforts towards that. And then that can keep moving. And we can start acquiring donations towards that while we solidify absolutely everything else that we're.
And I don't know if the captain agrees, but I kind of like that idea because I think like families and parents are going to be willing to go for the playground, and youth groups and things like that. And Girl Scouts can help fund that. There's groups that we can, and then the airlines. Because some of these other biggies we're expecting to pay for themselves, like the golf tournament and the
That's
any kind of big food festival or the dedication ceremony of the, we're going to have tickets.
Yeah, and there's
for
still
that.
a lot that has to go into planning and solidifying that. And the other thing I would add, I think I've mentioned it before, and I've mentioned it in conversations with Jamie. I would favor, when it comes to a playground that kids are going to play on, safety is really important. I would rather that we just get a playground that is designed to be a playground rather than trying to retrofit an airplane into something that is safe to be used as a playground.
I would agree with that, just as your city manager.
Right.
it's.
I mean, I get it.
Liability is a-
We're
is a
trying to
concern.
cut costs, but again, I think those are the two biggest items. We've got the generous donations are kept in the hall. We have the statues that we want to get up and the playground. I think that if we can agree to that at least by next meeting, which I think is more reasonable, then you guys can start fundraising for that, right? And then we'll kind of solidify everything else as we go instead of trying to like get it all approved.
And my only thought with what you're saying, Councilman, and I'll let JC, work it out, is if we have a fund for the Centennial Committee celebration, and then any money that's donated for that will be allocated, for the different things. If we're just collecting for, say, the statue or the playground, and we get a generous donation from someone, then that money was donated for a purpose, and it might be difficult to repurpose it for the, I know, and I don't know. I'll let JC and Chris and all figure that out, but I don't want us to, put ourselves in a.
Unless it could be phrased so that such as.
Right, exactly. Something like that so that we don't have a difficulty in going back and,
And the donors have an idea of what we're.
yes. So we'll work that out.
We can
but
work that
just-
out.
Right.
That,
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And I agree with Councilman Fajera said. We need to kind of grab those big ticket items. I think for the statue is going to be very important in soliciting funds to let people know that someone has donated to this. That we're not starting from scratch, right? And that also gives people, more energy to want to do something. And also with the large corporations like the airlines, as you know, Captain, there are certain times of the year when you can ask them for money. So that's the other thing, is really knowing when is the best time to send that letter and so forth and so on.
Well, that's what I was, Dr. Walter, I appreciate your comment, but since I'm donating up to that amount of money, I'm hoping to cover not only the statue, but hopefully most of one of the airplanes.
Right.
So I'm working with Roger, the owner of the aircraft manufacturing company, to bring the price down. And I'm going to talk to him again this week. In the meantime, we can, the bases that was in the budget because the bases have to go up. But that can be budgeted when the budget committee hearing comes next, because we don't need the bases till in 2025. However, for the big ticket items, I agree with Dr. Walter. Victor, that showing that there is a large that a big item was donated, money was already donated, would incentivize also the airlines.
That's the word I was looking for.
To match. That's the word. I mean, that's the right.
Matching.
Matching, to match it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind using my name with the airlines. I would be happy to use it with United. If a captain at United retired can donate 100,000, why can't $1 billion company do it? I mean, I'm not going to say that to him, but I'm, I'm going to plead with the chairman to do something. And other airlines, people work for American, live here. So we can approach them, and that's why the letter is very important. And I'll let you all come up with the best course of action to use, but it was good to brainstorm this idea just now, because it'll give them an incentive. It's others, they're starting from scratch. And
Thank you.
And you all are meeting Monday,
the 18th, Monday the 17th at 6 p.m.
At 6 p.m. here in City Hall is the next Centennial Committee. And again, the community's welcome to attend.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you again. All right, let's move to, we have an update by, Fred, thank you for your patience. I'm sorry, I should have moved you and Jim before, and that's
A hard act to
on my
follow.
part, but thank you so much for being here. So we have an update from the chair of the Miami Springs Recreation Commission, Fred Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Greetings, JC. Haven't met you yet, but looking forward to it soon. Thanks for having me. So the Recreation Commission, we conducted a survey in the summer and fall of 2023 for our residents about our parks and recreation options. And you have a copy of those full results in front of you, I hope. However, let me just share with you the Cliff Notes version, the highlights. There was overwhelming support for tennis and racquetball to move to the golf club back when that was an idea. Creating more outdoor basketball courts. Lights being added to the large field at PB Dove Park, in turn extending the hours of the dog park. Bike paths were a popular topic. They were looking for more connectivity. Top feedback also included more lighting or dedicated bike lanes throughout the city, which I believe you've been adding over in the east side. Playgrounds at Prince and Stafford are popular, aside from the athletic fields, but many residents are looking for more passive spaces to visit, perhaps for older kids and for adults, not just playgrounds. More shaded areas at our parks and along our walking, biking paths was also a popular request. And of course, you all have delivered new shade structures at Prince Field lately, so as well as a safer batting cage. So that is a nice quick win, as I like to say, something that we can show that we were listening. Drainage at our parks is also a big issue. The residents shared feedback, as well as better lighting overall. And I know that the drainage is also a topic of priority for the city. Many commented on the accessibility of our parks during the day, particularly at Stafford, that at times gates are closed and older kids cannot use the park as an alternative to being on their devices. Again, that could be a staffing issue. And then, of course, the hottest controversial topic in Miami Springs, pickleball. Lots of comments about pickleball, about the tennis courts, the program, the managing of the sport, etc. I know you guys are all aware. We talked about it earlier today. There is a vaunted code of silence that we were reminded. You can't really talk about it, but we're making moves on what's next for pickleball. But the struggle is real, and we could see it in the survey. So Of course, there was a lot of feedback on what residents would like to see added to our parks. Many of those ideas would require a genie from a lamp to grant, but some of those were included better grass at our soccer and baseball fields, more courts for basketball, pickleball, tennis, more swings and updated playground equipment, which perhaps the Centennial Playground might be timely. More flowers, greenery, and benches, more water refill stations and picnic spots. So regardless, I encourage you to go through the survey results when you have time. Please use them as a compass when considering new or updated projects. Again, we are aware that there are plans in place for some topics and suggestions as addressed in the survey. And as for the Recreation Commission itself, just to give you an update, our next agenda after this survey is to focus on our focus will be on the future of privatization and youth and community sports here in Miami Springs, and maybe creating some guidelines and expectations on how to manage this so it doesn't become the wild, wild west on our parks and courts. We're looking forward to some healthy discussions and policy suggestions. So that's our next topic. And finally, if I may place a personal plug, as president of Miami Springs Little League, I would like to invite you all to our opening day ceremonies on Saturday, February 24th at 10 a.m. at Prince Field. We'll have over 300 players and their families in attendance. Thank you, Mayor. I got your email today. I'm sorry you won't be able to make it, but perhaps we can bestow that first pitch to JC, who's a newcomer to our city. If you want to throw the first pitch, JC, you're on the clock.
Have less than a week
To get ready. We'll have the first pitch. We'll have the annual Great Baseball Snack Food Race. We're bringing back the Cali Award for Sportsmanship, which we used to give out back in the 1990s. We have a boy and a girl who have been nominated and selected. They don't know it yet. They'll be getting that. So it's kind of good, kind of honoring our heritage. And we'll actually have a game featuring our two-time district and sectional champions. 12U team, they'll actually be playing a game. So that should be a fun day if anyone is interested in coming. And if you have any questions regarding the survey or any of the topics that we're going to tackle next time in the coming future, fire away. And thanks again for your time.
Fred, thank you so much for the report and also for the survey. This is a great survey. It's simple, but it provides a ton of information. Does anyone have any questions? Fred?
I just wanted to make a comment. I saw it it was shared in the survey, and I've heard from a few residents who frequent the dog park, and I haven't gone by to look at it, but apparently the parking lot of the dog park is in really bad shape. So, and kind of the comment that's made to me, and I don't know if it's as simple as that, but they were like, "Can't the city just, get some P-rock like what they put,
around the park,
like put some of it in the parking lot because apparently a lot has, it's in really bad shape." And that was the comment that I saw here about, is there anything can be done about the holes in the parking lot?
Yeah, I know in our discussions with Omar, he had some ideas on how to upgrade the park a bit with the amenities for the dogs as well as for the parking. And that was also a discussion about being able to put rock like we put around Prince and like we put at PV in that area to help with that. I don't know if that's good for the dogs to walk through, if that's good for I don't know exactly if it's compact, but I know that's been brought up and it's on the list.
I just so you know, Councilman, I spoke with Laz from Public Works, and as a matter of fact, it was when we met out there regarding the Australian pines with the county. Afterward, him and I were taking a look at the park, and I said, "Hey, is there anything we can do there?" Because I drove the parking lot, and it really is rough terrain out there to go over it. So there's a couple of things that we're looking at. One of them is to do that. It's going to be a combination of concrete or asphalt so that we can provide for ADA parking spaces, because you can't do that on gravel.
Mhm.
And then the rest we can do on gravel.
Yeah.
And provide with the proper connectivity and the connection so that somebody in a wheelchair can access. So yeah, I had that conversation about, I would say, when we had our meeting maybe 2 weeks ago. And he's going to give me some prices, so at least I know what we're dealing with.
Okay, great. And I know the parking And I believe that's something just our Public Works Department came up with that, that process, you know, that they've put along Prince Field is just wonderful.
Mhm.
You know, it really, even if it's raining, the drainage is very good. It percolates into the ground, which is what we want, not running into the street. And, you know, just, so anything we can do to provide that in other areas. It's great. Fred, I had a few questions. You said that, people wanted more passive spaces in the parks. What is it meant by that? Is it just-
Some of the reaction was, you know, where I can go read a book. So it's like, you know, you have, I can have a picnic with my family and not be in the middle of an athletic field.
Okay.
A bench or two. You know, I think if you look at along Curtis Parkway, and that is a beautiful green space that you could go have a picnic and you could go read a book, but you're also in the middle of a lot of traffic. So maybe they're looking for something a little bit more tranquil.
Mhm.
I don't know if our city has those little pockets like that. There was a park that a lot of people mentioned near Stafford. It's like a little triangle kind of tucked away. I think it's on that, on the way over toward the east side going off where all the trees been planted. There's like a small
Oh, Reagan
Reagan,
Park, yes.
Reagan, yeah. And I don't know what plans, you know, but a lot of people mentioned that as
Well,
as an option.
That we've just upgraded
Right.
in the past 2 years of, it was just a green space.
Right.
And we added a tiki hut and a playground, and it's got a nice green area. In fact, the other day when I was by there, there was a father with his son throwing the ball, and the daughter was playing in the playground, and they had a dog running around, you know, their dog too. So it was like a great little green area that I imagine they walked from one of their homes there.
Actually, where Mr. Gonzalez is talking about is the triangular park right off of South Royal. And that's where
Oh.
South Royal, the roadway construction had all of their,
The setup
their,
for the,
yes.
okay.
So it's that little park.
I think that's exactly,
Oh,
that's
I
exactly what.
That has been talked about in the past as being a passive park. And also the park at Ludlam at the end of by the FEC railroad tracks, that little section has also been discussed in the past as a passive park.
The Rio Vista is, you know, we got to come up with something like it's waiting for
Yes, that's-
something really perfect to
Right.
happen there. It's got.
It could even be something like swings that can accommodate adults as opposed to swings that are just for kids. You know, just, you know, again, I know it's maintenance and safety and things like that, but, you know, thinking a little bit outside the box, which we're happy to do as a committee. It's just a matter of pinpointing which areas we could say, okay, let's try and focus those as passive. What makes up a passive park outside of benches, green space, places where, you know, kids who are over 16 to young adults might go and without, you know, worrying about child safety, right? You know, just to go sit down and clear their thoughts, work outside with a laptop or read something. So.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
Two other things that you had mentioned in the report, and just to let you know, since you're the chair with the Recreation Committee, is the bike, the work that we're doing for stormwater management and drainage and roadway improvement and all this along East Drive and Oakwood is going to include a bike path, but it won't be part of the roadway. It'll actually be
Oh, nice.
a separate, right? So it, you know, and again, we're trying to make sure that the east side of Miami Springs has, you know, well, throughout Miami Springs, we want to improve the amenities everywhere, but that'll be a really nice addition to a bike path for that area, and the drainage for the park, the Stafford, correct? I'm looking at Tammy because Tammy's the one that knows about,
Stafford.
and JC are the ones that, you know, that know about all this, but that's the drainage in Stafford Park will be somewhat alleviated by.
There this weekend, you would already see that they're working on the drainage on Stafford Park. Right
Okay.
behind you.
Wonderful.
That's
So
great.
that-
Yeah. The next one to tackle will be Prince, because it turns into Lake Prince Field if it storms very quickly over by the entrance, by the corner of Westward and I can't think of, but it's where you come in with by the sheds, by the base, by the storage sheds, and across from the recreation center, just that whole side. The rocks have helped with the parking, but
Mhm.
the field itself and drainage is
Still a
getting,
problem.
yeah. I mean, it's a growing problem. It wasn't a problem before. It's just becoming one. So,
This is great. The other thing I wanted to mention is, we're looking, JC and I have been looking at, discussing some, opportunities for outdoor basketball courts. So we
great.
might have some good news in the future.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yes.
That'd be wonderful to share.
This is just a lot of, there weren't that many respondents, but I think it's pretty representative
Yeah.
by the variation of information that you're getting, and especially the comments and all this, that, it's a good representation of, even if the
Yeah, I
group
think it was
itself is not that
over
big.
130 residents, which we were happy
Mhm.
for our first survey. So, and it was
And that's something, that we'd like to do more and more with the city, is getting feedback from residents, when we put out these surveys. But again, it's really important that the residents take a few minutes to answer the surveys, to give us your feedback, because it provides a wealth of information for us and in going forward.
you.
Thank you
Okay.
and your commission for all of your hard work, your dedication. I want to say, and I won't be able to attend the Little League ceremony on Saturday because I'll be out of town, but that I encourage anyone that wants to be there. What is it, February 24th, on Saturday, February 24th, to go by at 10. It really is a feast for the eyes. All of the athletes, young athletes, are in their uniforms, and each uniform represents a major team, baseball team, and it's just so much fun. It really is. So
Yeah, we'll have a dunk tank out there. I'm not going to put JC in that, but we have a dunk tank for the first time. We'll be raising a lot of
Only if he
funds.
doesn't reach home plate. on
Well, it
the
may
pitch.
be, yeah, but he still has to accept.
No pressure.
So thank you very
okay.
much.
Thank you again,
Thank you,
Fred.
Fred.
Okay, and thank you for your patience. The chair, Jim Watson, Dr. Watson from the Historic
Doing tonight?
Preservation Board.
Good to see-
No.
good to see you, Jim.
Get a. Oh, great. Oh, okay, perfect. My report basically is going to focus on one project we've been working on for a while, the Preservation Board. Well, maybe first I can do it in a different way. Let me actually give me a chance to practice here.
Can we dim the lights a little bit when we have presentations? So hard to, it might help.
Yep.
Thank you.
I apologize. I'm getting my wings here.
Thank you, Erica.
And let's see.
It's on the site.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Oh,
trying to pull down from it's the speed of the mouse or something. Maybe it's here. And probably also my contact. Well, I think, well, let me see. Oh, is that better? I apologize. Like watching somebody learning how to drive or something here. Actually, I'm going to skip what I was going to do, and I'll just say it instead. I wanted to recognize the hard. Yeah, well, actually, that worked pretty nicely. Unless you need it, it feels soft. What I was going to do is to try to pull up at least the board pages in terms of specifically the one for the Preservation Board, and just for your note that I think we're the only ones that have it, but we have our board members listed. And the reason, and I wanted to mention them, obviously they're not here, but because it's through the work of a team. And that's both Ken Wild, Vivian Ella Ray, and Carol Foster. And I also want to announce that we have a new member through Ms. Bovo is going to be Dr. Eileen McDonald. McDonald,
McDonough.
president of the
Women's
Women's Club.
Club.
I'm probably slaughtering her name now. Okay.
Eileen McDonough.
McDonough. Okay. So she is our new member. So again, it's through their hard work and all that that things happen. At this point, what I want to share with you is the guide. And this has been, and I'll give you a background on that. And since this is something since I've been working with it, we have about 10 charges, to be honest. And this kind of covers about 3 of them. We're like charged with kind of protection, with enforcement and education. So, and specifically, I'll talk about enforcement because when a protected or a designated property, when a builder wants to make an alteration or not, there's procedure. We basically follow up. The muscle behind what we do comes out of the Code Ordinance Chapter 153. And it's pretty explicit. But the thing is, no one really knows of it. I mean, in fact, the best example I can give is the past three certificate appropriatenesses that we needed to work with. Only two out of the three of them had already started construction. They had no idea that they needed to have approval on historic structures to be able to, as a procedural thing. So there's a need for education, and that's a part of it. So the idea we talked about, well, let's get a brochure and all that. And the more we thought about it, brochures got fashion quickly. There's changes made. Moved to the 21st century, then we decided, well, a website would be the easiest. And let me also say, with this website, this is the first maybe you've seen of it. I don't know if anybody's looked at it yet or not, but it's also it's a fluid, flexible document. It's meant to change. It's meant to grow and meet the needs of both the city and the community. So what I'll do first, we open with basically, and I won't drill too deep because we're getting late here. Just an overview of the role of the preservation of the preservation board and what it's. Oh, okay, great. Now see. And we break it down into different areas. It's not cooperating. Okay, we go through why preservation matters, background in terms of both value, community fabric, etc. I'm trying to actually back up now, but I'm really sorry. This is annoying. Okay, whoops, backed up too far now. This gives me the opportunity to show that the preservation guide is.
It's the fourth one down.
Okay, thank you. Preservation. This mouse is not. Great. Going back down. Do you have better control? Is your mouse? Yeah, I was going to say, I'll tell you where I want to go. I think it would be a lot faster and a lot smoother than that way. I thought that this was going to be the solution, but not so. If you can jump down on, these are different topics that cover the area in terms of how we saw in both education and also facilitating the ordinances. If you go to, and part of it is why is preservation important? And another category is what are the preservation guidelines? Basically, what underscores what we do, and also the ordinances is the federal government. If you could click on the fourth one on the bottom to the left, federal preservation guidelines, just briefly. What that does is that goes over the 10 basic guidelines that really is the foundation for all preservation across the United States. So again, below that, we also give community members additional resources from Miami-Dade County, other cities, just so in terms of the more they want to know in terms of the context of preservation in other cities, but how it's founded within. You can go back to the previous page. All right. Here's another one. What style is my house? If you could click on that. We want to be able to give the community some sense of and this really relates to the period of like the first 10 years, my Country Club Estates. And of Country Club, during that period, the three major styles, architectural styles, are both the Pueblo style, the Mission style, and the Mediterranean style. If you could click on the Pueblo, at least it'll give you an idea of what we're trying to show there. We share the different characteristics. You can scroll down. There's a narrative to it. And then we actually give photos and diagrams so people will be more familiar with what the styles are and whether, how their residence is their business or, Again, this is really kind of partially education. And so they can better understand where the preservation board is coming from when we make certain requests or discussions. If you go back, there's two other pages that cover the other style, which is similar. But you can go back to the previous page. Thank you. Like having a chauffeur here. And next is, I'll jump on, do I need a certificate of appropriateness? We have 18 sites in the city that are designated historic sites. With that being, if anybody wishes to make a change on the structure, they need what's referred to as a certificate of appropriateness. Basically,
This is for outside.
It's
Yeah,
only for the
for
outside.
outside.
Yeah, and that's, I think,
think it's
I'm not
important.
sure where, we try to make that point too, because that scares a lot of people.
Right.
You know? And I think there's very, so this is only for the, and again, when you think of that, that's so that the historical fabric is maintained
Mhm.
when you're going down the street and all that. So it goes into explaining what the situations we need, because as I said before, we've had people come forward that after, I mean, we've had them halfway through construction come to us. So, it also has the documents that they would need to fill out so they can start reviewing it. And also it cites, if you go to where it says, I think the ordinance is that one or not, we cite the ordinance chapter 153, so they can dive deep. Before, we've never had a place to send anyone. So this way we can guide, if we get them on the phone or something, we can even work with them in terms of the clerk's office, because they'll probably come to you first. That's where they use it. You can go back to the main page again. Then we also have people are interested in having their house designated. That's up. Yeah, thank you. It gives them an overview, what would be needed. That's a quick one. If they want to go deeper, they can click below. So that's what the processes of designation are. You can go back to the main page again. Our sites, historically designated sites. That lists all 18. And if you can pick any one of them under the address column, just any of the sites there, run the cursor over and click on it. It will take you to a description of the site. This is actually trying to use the resources we already have. This is from the tour of Miami Springs. So you could enter this from several places. Hopefully, as I said before, they can get to the ordinance from our pages also. This is just pull together all the resources that are available. Okay. If you want to go back to the previous page, yeah, that page. What we're working on, as I said, this is still a fluid document we're trying to create. When you see the designation dates, what we're going to do is we've already had the designation reports scanned, and we want to link them. So somebody says, okay, well, let me see what a designation report is. That will also be possibly a place to put additional information about these sites. So that's not functioning yet, but that shows you where we want to take this to make it as a complete site as possible. If you can go back to the previous page. All right. Then we have, we pull here renovation recommendations. This is actually where the link to 153 is. And if you'll see, just at that very, these are suggestions of do's and don'ts, so that people can start understanding, like, okay, appropriate doors, this isn't appropriate, is appropriate. And it all, again, there's a link on the second paragraph there that will take you to the ordinance. So there'll be no question. A lot of times, I think in the past, that's what people would be sent to. And it's like, what? That's kind of like, what am I looking at? So but this will take them to the specifics, so they actually have the legal description. You can go back again. Thank you so much. Okay, and as I say, this scrolls down away. This isn't complete, but it does start giving somebody an idea. We can go back one more page again. And then also we do frequently asked questions, FAQs. And there's a wide range in terms of, some of them are to allay fears. People are very afraid of the whole idea. What will happen? So we try to delve there a little deeper. And again, it also has a designation, the process for the certificate of appropriateness is at the bottom and the final FAQ on that. And for the most part, very random, it jumped around, but at least it wanted to give you a sense of what we've done with this. The next step would probably be, and maybe at this point, this has been done with the city clerk's office. Sandra Duarte has been fantastic. Everything's internal and resources, but we may ask you for some money for and I don't know what you call them, but when you have those little one-page things that drop in, like downstairs in the front desk.
A brochure?
Well, it's a brochure, but it's not even that. It's just a one card. I think there's a term for, we'll say a one card brochure. We're going to have some of this just highlighted and then the web page. And that can be in the building department, it can be downstairs, it can be mailed. So that will be what really becomes the launch pad, possibly, for questions, information, and also education. This really is the one spot I think we capture a lot of in terms of the physical history of the community in one place. So with that said, I'm done.
Jim, I am really impressed with how much information you've provided. It looks really clear, especially the importance of historic preservation, starting with that. That's just wonderful, wonderful work on the part of your committee. And it's so timely as we prepare for our centennial celebration to have all our ducks in order on this, on, if historical preservation and history of Miami Springs is so important to us, we really have to clarify what it is, what it means.
The value of it.
Yes, the value of it and how we protect it, what we're doing to protect it, and, and how homeowners and other people, business owners that might have a historical building and stuff, what the process is for them to ensure that we work together to protect it.
We're also looking at one of the, we're a small group. I think we're a very good group in terms of they work very hard, and other things we're looking at in the future is what are some, maybe the, what is it? Oh, how do you say it? The incentive. What for somebody to designate their home or come forward. And we're looking in terms of the impact of ad valorem taxes. That's one of the few ones in terms of both with the county and maybe coming back to the city and seeing if they would be interested in exploring that. That's an opportunity for somebody to save a little on improvements to their house for a period of time. I think Dade County puts a 10-year window on holding off on ad valorem, raising the ad valorem tax on structures. So, I mean, we're playing with those ideas and any number of other things. Hopefully you'll see we're working still in the final language that we need to get back to the city manager for the plaques. That we haven't forgotten that. I know you appropriated the money, but we have a bunch of things. In fact, we're starting to meet monthly. We may be the only group that does. We meet every month. We're meeting. We started this January in terms of monthly meetings. So
Wonderful. Any questions? Please.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank the board,
The
yourself
board.
and the board
Yes.
for all your hard work on behalf of our community. This is historic preservation. It can only be, I feel it can only be done by people who truly are passionate about it and believe in it and understand how delicate a situation it can be, and that we have to look to make sure that we encourage our residents to be on board for that. So
the last thing I'll say too is we're in process and we're working with the city manager, waiting for a response from him in terms of the entrances. Last time, I think it was June 12th when I was last here, you'd made the request that we have additional drawings and to bring rough estimates. And so we're in the process of working with the city manager in terms of developing how that can be arrived at. Because I'm not that good at it. We've already sent a memo with the newer recommendations to him. And we want to be able to show you some better drawings and some cost estimates for the next decision. And just as a thought, when I'm listening to the group celebrating the city and the request for permanent recognitions of the city's history, new entrances to the city that are historically appropriate, seems like that could fit into their charge too. So, well, thank you.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
right.
We greatly appreciate the report and all the work of the Historical Preservation Board.
Appreciate it.
And that information on our website is very, very valuable.
We really do need feedback because it may occur to you when you read that's going to be misleading. That's not quite the intent, or why can't we roll this into it? This has been kind of like we've among ourselves so far. Developing this. So now is when we get the rubber hits the road and we can really make it more effective site.
And I think going forward in the future, that consistency of this is why we do it, this is how we do it, this is, the whole process is truly a valuable tool for our city.
Good. I know the board would be happy to hear that.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Sorry it's so late and getting to you. All right. I think we are going to move along pretty quickly for the rest of things. I shouldn't say that because whenever I say that,
You jinx it.
right, I jinx it. Okay, so we're on agenda item number 8, and we have a public hearing.
So, good evening, Mayor, Council. Before you, for second reading is an ordinance of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, amending Chapter 52, Water of the city's Code of Ordinances by adding Section 52-14 to incorporate applicable Miami-Dade County permanent year-round landscape irrigation restrictions and provide for enforcement by the city, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. This item is a public hearing item. So, if you'd like.
Thank you, Roger. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak, even if you haven't signed up to speak in the public hearing? For those of us in our audience or virtually, if there's anyone virtually that wants to speak on this. All right, I'll close the public hearing.
Motion to approve 8A.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Councilman Behet?
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez?
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. We move to the consent agenda. Agenda item 9. Is there any item that someone wants to pull to discuss?
Well, there was some-
That was, no, it was on the, on the Centennial Committee. Anyone want to pull anything to discuss? Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve 9A, B, C, and D.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Councilman Behet?
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez?
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right. So that moves us right to reports and recommendations at the very end of our meeting, and we'll start with our esteemed city attorney.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. It's always a pleasure seeing all of you. Don't have anything to report today.
All right, thank you. Our city manager.
Yes, Mayor, I have a few things. First, as you know, but I'm letting the public know, Chief Guzman is retiring at the end of the month. And I have named Captain Deal as his successor. He'll be the next chief of police. At the next meeting is the chief's last day is on the 27th, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the day after our next council meeting. And I wanted to see if the council would like to do a little something for the chief, and then also at the same time swear in Captain Deal. So I kind of wanted to do it together, do the ceremony.
So that would be at the next February meeting.
That's
All right,
correct.
wonderful.
And I'll drag him here. I'm going to drag him here and make sure that he's here.
Good.
The next thing, I wanted to give an update on a few projects. The Tennis Pro bids, those are due on February 21st. The Veterans Memorial is out to bid. That is due on February 22nd. Hook Square, which is one of the ones that one of the ones that we have grants for. That one is being advertised this week. The issue, just so you know, a little background, one of the issues that we've had is we used to advertise all of our projects on the Daily Business Review, and that was to advertise maybe a couple $100. They are no longer in print. Our code requires that we advertise in a newspaper of general circulation. The next one is Miami Herald. Miami Herald is about $900 or $1,000 an ad. So, yeah, that's kind of thrown the budget off a little bit. And we've tried to, Miami-Dade County, we're kind of working with Miami-Dade County on a solution there. However, for the time being, we're just biting the bullet and advertising in the Herald.
It's funny you say that because that explains why I've noticed we still get a paper subscription to the Herald, believe it or not. And I noticed that there are a lot of public notices now, and it must be because
The Daily Business Review
is no longer, because just the past few months, I keep going, I've never
Yes.
used to notice that many, not from our city, but from all other cities.
Yes.
So that
Okay.
explains that.
So that one's being advertised this week. South Drive, the plans are at 90%. So hopefully when we finalize those, get that out to bid as soon as possible. Lastly, the East and Oakwood Drive project is starting. You're going to see heavy machinery there already. We wanted to originally schedule a groundbreaking for February 15th at 10 a.m. However, in inviting Senator Avila and Representative Rizzo, they're still in session. And it looks like we're going to we're scheduling it for March 11th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
At what time?
At 10 a.m.
March 11th at 10 a.m. So and I just wanted to confirm with you guys that is okay. I'll speak with Vice Mayor Bravo and Councilman Santin tomorrow just to make sure they're okay. I think they're okay with that date, but I wanted to make sure you three were available so we can confirm and let the contractor know, hey, we got, we're gonna be doing this. So, okay.
Yes.
And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And Tammy, our Assistant City Manager?
We have Shred Day, starting, tomorrow, the 13th from 4 to 10 at the community center, where residents and businesses are able to bring up to 4 boxes of paper to shred. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Tammy. Okay, we'll go to City Council. Councilman, go ahead.
Not much to report other than just thankful for the residents that we have that give up their time to help us in various ways, whether it's either Jim and the Preservation Board or Fred with Parks and Recreation, the residents that are on the Centennial Committee, and even the residents that come and speak to that came and spoke to advocate for Match Point. It's just a pleasure to serve this city, knowing that we have residents that are as invested as they are. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Vasquez?
I don't have a report, but I have a concern, but more than anything, just to let people know to chill, and this is what I mean. I hear folks from different political persuasions and religious persuasions that the equivalent of this is the end of the world, the way things are going in this country. And I try to remind them that, number one, democracy is cumbersome, but it works. We've been experimenting with this for a couple 100 years, and not a whole lot of people do this. And that voices come up on different moments to either criticize a tendency or promote a tendency. And, the last time we had a very serious conflict in this country was during the Civil War. And we survived that. So I ask people to just say, you may not like this or you may not like this other thing, but this is how we roll. And I think that, and I thank God that we have the system that we have, that we're able to work through these things. Next year is 2025, or 100 years ago in 1925, a biology teacher in Dayton, Ohio, was put on trial. He was a biology teacher. He was teaching evolution, and it was illegal to do so in the state of Tennessee. And he was brought to trial and was convicted. This week I heard that, I don't know where it was. I don't know what school, it was in Dade County or somewhere else, but that students who want to participate, parents have to sign have to sign off on their student to be able to participate in Black History Month events. And I don't remember where that was from, but also as a former professor, you start hearing about the elimination of certain disciplines like sociology, right, which is the study of the development, structure, and functioning of a human society. I get worried because it's not my discipline, but it's very close to my discipline. But I think that we have one historian once called it. We have our history and our system is like a pendulum, and it swings. And like a pendulum, it swings to one extreme, and then it comes back, and so forth. But it's generally in the middle, right? And so, I just hear these things. I get concerned. People, this book, which was read 30 years ago, is no longer acceptable to some parents. But I do recognize that parents have the right to express themselves on what their children are taught, particularly in public schools, right? And that we have that system in place. And so I just, call upon folks to remember that we've, as Mark Twain used to say, you know, history does not repeat itself, but it rhymes, right? So we've kind of been here in other forms, and you know, this too shall pass, right? And hopefully we continue to be a stronger country because of it, that we're able to overcome, you know, challenges and ideas, and that's the nature of democracy, right? You don't want to stifle people's ability to express themselves. You know, at the end of a conversation like we do it here in the city council, we take a vote and the majority rules, right? And so just ask people to keep true to those values, and we'll get through this. Okay, thanks. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman. I was just thinking while you were speaking of a quote, and I think it was President Clinton when he was running, but I'm not sure. But he said something about there's nothing wrong with America that can't be fixed by what's right with America. And that always stayed in my mind, and it's true. It's like you said, it goes back and forth, but luckily we're always working to make it better.
Keep the faith.
Thank you. On my part, I just wanted to, I got the national, what is this, Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling reached out to me and asked that we consider making a proclamation declaring March as National Gambling Prevention Month or Service Month. I'll give it to you later, but basically it's that the idea that gambling can be an addiction, and more the concern is that now that we're legalizing a lot of types of gambling online and on your phones and all, it's encouraging, you know, younger people to get involved with it, and it's not seen as, oh, they're hanging out at the casino. It's considered more acceptable. And for some people, you know, that there is an addiction problem. So I think with the council's consent that that's a reasonable thing for us to just designate March as gambling I'll tell you, compulsive gambling. Yes, disordered gambling affects more than 200,000 Floridians daily, which does not include the 8 to 10 other people, you know, that are related or friends of that person who are also adversely affected by the gambler's activities. And the other thing it says here is education is key in understanding the risk and the resources available for problem gambling, especially at a time when new and increasingly accessible gambling opportunities continue to emerge, including the legalization of online and mobile sports betting in Florida at the end of last year. So if I have the council's consent for that, we'll, Councilman? Okay. And Eric, I'll get you this to prepare that for March. The other thing I wanted to mention is to everyone, the Blessed Trinity Festival is Blessed Trinity Church and School Festival is this weekend, and that's always a lot of fun for the whole community. So I hope a lot of people will go to it. We had some residents who spoke about Airbnbs and concerns with Airbnbs, and I just want to say that we have an Airbnb. I'm saying Airbnb, short-term vacation rentals is what it's called, Airbnbs or VRBOs. So we have a short-term vacation rental ordinance that we put into place about 2 or 3 years ago when we were having problems with this. And I encourage any residents, either the ones that spoke or others that are concerned, to reach out to our city clerk, our city manager. They can provide you the ordinance. If you have anything you want to discuss with any of us individually, and if council members, please feel free to reach out to any of us and we'll talk to you. But we do have an ordinance in place, and there's a process in place for someone to have. We can't, the state of Florida does not allow us to prohibit short-term vacation rentals in a community, but we did put an ordinance in place to control what we can. Regulate what we can. And since we did that, we had a lot less problems with short-term vacation rentals in the community. And the last thing is I just wanted to mention that I saw on our social media that we're asking restaurants, Miami Springs restaurants, we had talked about that a while back, about promoting Miami Springs restaurants on our social media, on our website, drop-down menu with just a link to their website. So we have a lot of varieties of wonderful places to eat and drink in the city. And, we've been really focusing on communication and getting the word out about everything that there is to do in Miami Springs. So right now on our social media, if you own a restaurant, you work for a restaurant in Miami Springs, or you know someone who does, please encourage them to look on our social media and follow the steps there. It's not very difficult to get enrolled so that we can start promoting you, providing information about your restaurant as a place to visit in Miami Springs. And with that, thank you all, everyone, our resident who has stayed with us. Yeah. All right. This meeting is ended, and everyone have a good evening.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.